All right, ladies and gentlemen, got quite the mathematical video for you guys today, but the TLDR from it is relatively simplistic. I've been looking into Jugs of Light's video and basically all the stuff he's saying about spirit and intellect and blah, 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 blah. I'm going to let it play a little bit. This part kind of melted my brain, not because of how amazing it is, but just the it takes a little bit of while to understand exactly what's happening, but I'm going to explain why what's happening doesn't really matter, if that makes any sense. But let's just watch it for a second here.
Combat by up to 0.25 hit points. This means 200 seconds for a per 0.25 mana per tick per point. There is a hidden mana regeneration with your character.
Yes.
As a level 45 human paladin, you will have 57 base spirit. The mana regen is 27.5 mana per tick. Accounting for the 0.25 scaling of spirit, this shows a 13.5 hidden spirit regen.
Yeah, okay. So what he's basically saying is that, as I showed you in the King's video, right? Every class in the game has a bunch of hidden stats. So like at level 60, I have an extra like 120 stamina for no reason. That's not subject to the Blessing of Kings. And I have an extra 120 strength in my DPS at level 60, seemingly for no reason. It's just built into your character. What he's talking about here is that you have a base regeneration amount on your paladin, and it's a hidden base regeneration amount that is not subject to the spirit. Even the base spirit amount, like even if you're putting gear on, if that makes any sense. But he's about to continue on to say something interesting that this is the part that kind of hurt my brain.
When you have 204 spirit, you regenerate 56 mana per tick. The regen from spirit scaling is 51 per tick. This means the hidden regeneration drops the more spirit you get. This gives the appearance of spirit growing exponentially.
All right, so basically what this is saying now is that as we begin stacking up spirit on our character, there's a bit of a hidden diminishing return going on because we're losing that hidden base regeneration. So, for example, that hidden base generation used to be...
This shows a
13.5 when he was butt naked at level 45 base, or level 47 base, level 45. Basically here. But then he's saying when he puts on his gear and he goes up to 204 spirit and he does the math, the hidden regeneration suddenly went down to 5. So we lost a bunch of hidden regeneration essentially. And he goes on to point out that when he goes up even further to like 240 spirit, the hidden regeneration goes down to 4.5, if that makes any sense. Now, this might seem like a negative at first glance, but I'm going to throw a counter argument to that real quick. Real quick. And that is how gearing actually works in the game, like how the stats work in the game. So, for example, when you have stamina spirit gear, that the gear might say 4 stamina, 4 spirit. And then if you were to pick just a spirit piece of gear or just a stamina piece of gear, it would be 6 stats, right? So the game penalizes you essentially for specializing your gear into only 1 stat. And it also rewards you significantly more if you have more of a spread of stats. That's why when you see gear in the game, which is actually quite abundant, that'll be like, strength, stamina, spirit, or stamina, intellect, spirit, or stamina, intellect, strength, spirit, agility, all the stats. They tend to be bigger numbers because that's just how the stat diversification is set up to be. So basically what this means is while you're gearing out your paladin, if you are interested in picking up spirit gear, and by the end of this video, you probably are going to be interested in picking up spirit gear, it's not the hardest thing in the world to come across pieces of gear that have both intellect, stamina, and spirit on them. And when you do that, you're gaining a significant amount of spirit, seemingly out of nowhere, at no cost, at very little cost to your intellect build. And subsequently, that gain probably cancels out this hidden negative to spirit. And as I go over here to all the stats and figures, One of them, where is my assumption? Yeah, assumption right here. Let me get the red so I can direct your attention. Here we go. It says assumption. Intellect can be traded 1-to-1 with spirit at a plus 0.25 mana per stat. Tick. Yeah, okay, there we go. Regardless of hidden penalty, due to the abundance of blue items, neck, rings, shields that come with int and spirit, or spirit seemingly for free. There's a lot of stats in the items in the game that are like blue, and they just throw spirit on there seemingly for no reason. Like I have no idea why this shield has like 6 spirit on it. I have no clue. So my assumption is those two will basically cancel out while you're gearing your character, and so it's rather negligible to pay attention to. Okay, so what the hell did I do today? I spent all day, rip my weekend. I spent all day going around in World of Warcraft and getting punched in the dick on my level 60 character while wearing only 50% armor. And I was literally wearing like shoulder pads and like, if I recall correctly, like pants or something like that to give me like 54, literally 34 spell power, because my max rank consecration ticks do 50 damage at 34 spell power, generally speaking. Sometimes, once in a blue moon, it's a 51, but to hell with that. And then I ran around and I found every single level of mob from level 41 all the way to level 54. And I just stood there while they chewed on my butt. And I consecrated them down, and I counted the number of consecrations, because it's 50 points of damage per tick. I did this in actual era World of Warcraft. And I recorded the amount of damage I was taking at 50% armor, and I recorded the HP numbers of the mobs. And I found some interesting things here, which we have highlighted over here. If you've never played WoW before, or if you have played WoW before, you would know that the game starts getting hard round about level 40, and it gets harder and harder and harder until a certain point where it gets kind of even. Like around about level 50, everything starts seeing kind of even. But if we look at the stats here, there's some interesting spread going on. So you can see from level 41 to about level 50, the mobs are increasing in their amount of damage that they do at a rather vicious and terrifying rate. It's like it's going up by like 4 damage, not factoring in armor, like every level practically. And the HP is going up somewhere in the vicinity of like 150, 175 HP, something like that, give or take. And, also I tried to get the same type of mob to punch me. So at first it was hyenas, and then it turned into wolves, and then it turned into undead frenzied wolves in Eastern Plaguelands. Because I know some of the mobs, like the bears and stuff, have plus 10% HP on them. And then some of the mobs use their same template, like the basilisks had like plus 10% HP. So you really want to stick, and then some of them attack faster, which is going to screw up the math here. So, stick with wolves, stick with hyenas, yada, yada, yada. Because they have the default 2-second attack speed, give or take, that we're going to do all the math on. So yeah, I did a lot of math today. Did a lot of playtesting, did a lot of math. But here's another interesting thing here. Is look at the mobs past like level 50, right? Let's look at the mobs past level 50 for a second here. Damage stopped going up. And I even went and I tested it on a level 58 mob to see if it also held true. And I knew this from the past, where it was like after a certain point in the game, the mobs stopped doing increased damage. However, you're noticing that their HP starts skyrocketing. So rather than them going up like 4 damage and like 150 hit points, the next thing we know, they're going up over 200 hit points a level, but they're not increasing in their damage anymore. So they just become harder and harder and harder to kill until they level cap at about around about 4,400 HP, and they do about 50 damage, give or take. Okay, cool. And then because I'm a mad lad, I just did all this stuff over here, just ignore it. It was just stuff I needed to do the math. Basically, when I watched Jugs of Light's video, and he actually gave me some stats on how Spirit works, The next pit stop for me, of course, is to try to math out what percentage of our gear is supposed to be stamina intellect gear, and then what percentage of our gear should be stamina spirit gear. Because if we think about this theoretically, right, and I'll go over here real fast while I'm talking. Boom, there we go. If we think about this theoretically, we only, as paladins, we only need enough mana to get the job done, as far as AoE farming is concerned. And then any additional mana that we have past being enough mana to get the job done is either for safety purposes, like if we're playing hardcore, or it is completely unnecessary and we're better off having spirit gear, right? Those are the only two possible options. Or theoretically, possibly strength gear if that was better, right? Okay, so this caused me to need to go around and actually figure out what it looks like to be engaged with pulling 5 mobs, pulling 4 mobs, pulling 3 mobs, pulling 2 mobs, yada, yada, yada. Now, I've been telling you guys for a long time that your gearing prioritization, I'm about to go through the nuts and bolts of everything that I found, but the TLDR on all of it hasn't changed. So it's like, on some things I'm wrong in the micro, but I'm still correct in the macro, which I find fascinating. But since you guys are into the PvE content, let's just talk about the PvE content here really fast. So what I've been telling you guys, and it still seems to hold true, is that you need just enough mana to pull however many mobs that you're planning on pulling with your paladin, plus 20% in case RNG goes one way or the other. And then from there, any remaining gear that you have left over, make it of the whale gear. Make it stamina spirit gear. And naturally, if you can find any piece of gear that has both stamina, spirit, and intellect on it, by all means, pick that up. Right? If that makes any sense. Also, we might have to look into some, I think it's of the owl gear. I could be wrong about that, but some of the gear has both intellect and spirit on it, but good luck finding that on the auction house. If you do find it on the auction house, it'll probably be pretty expensive. But we might have to look into that because double, theoretically, once we hit HP cap on our character for the amount of mobs that we're pulling, we don't need any extra HP. It's just, you know, we just have the extra HP for security purposes. It's not 100% necessary. You'd be better off with more intellect and spirit. So if you really, really wanted to min-max character building in hardcore, know that there would be like an HP cap, there would be an intellect cap, and then every last bit of stat, once you have hit your intellect cap and once you've hit your stamina cap, should be going into spirit. Like just that's just is what it is. Okay, so when I first did this test, the numbers didn't quite match my experience. And so this forced me to go back into the game and actually re-look into what exactly the problem was. So the only statement correct here currently is this one. The other ones are wrong. So you can see it says 13 hits times 25 equals 234. Yeah, 13 times 25 definitely does not equal 234. Why is this? Well, for years I've been telling people that Blessing of Sanctuary, the damage reduction from it happens after armor. That it works like a block. It happens after armor. Turns out I'm wrong. I went and I retested it. I've heard people tell me this before, but I didn't really believe them. And I never bothered to test it. So I don't know where exactly I went wrong on this. It's like, is it a private server? Did I never actually test it in World of Warcraft Classic? Did I test it early on in World of Warcraft Classic and found it to work this way? And then they Blizzard stealth nerfed it, as they often do to certain things in the past. Like I have a long list of things that I used to say worked a certain way, and Blizzard have stealth nerfed them. Skullflame Shield used to proc. You have to face the enemies to proc Skullflame Shield now. They have to be in your frontal arc. So if somebody's attacking you from behind, Skullflame Shield won't proc. Didn't used to do that. Thick Obsidian Breastplate used to not have an internal GCD. Now it has an internal GCD of 10 seconds, meaning that once it gets procced, it can't proc again for 10 seconds. All kinds of crazy, stupid stuff like that has been stealth nerfed here, there, all over the place. So I have no idea why Blessing of Sanctuary doesn't work like I remember it working. Double interesting is that I say that a lot in Palicasts and stuff, and Drakova never corrects me. So, what it is. But as it turns out, Blessing of Sanctuary, the damage reduction only happens after armor. Okay, so I went and I tested it. It was minus 24 damage when I was butt naked getting punched in the dick. I went up to 50% armor, and lo and behold, it was only minus half of its effect after the minus 50% armor. And of course, when I was sitting in 60 something or plus percent armor at level 60, it was only like minus 10 damage. So this forced me to come back here and redo the math. And once I redid the math, these numbers right here, the HP minuses, started coming out far more appropriately. And I was like, okay, now that matches my experience. Because my experience in AoE farming as a paladin is you go in, you pull a pack of mobs, you AoE them down. At some point, you're going to have to bop yourself and then heal to full. You have to bubble yourself. You're going to heal to full, and then you're going to finish out the fight. And that healing to full almost always takes the form of 2 holy lights. Right? The only time it takes the form of 3 holy lights is if your holy light is significantly outdated and you desperately need a new rank of it to train, right? Which is kind of where we get at level 42. So I wrote down all my stats over here, and you can see I've got holy light right over here. And it's like 1k heal for blah blah at level 36. And then at level, level 46, but at level 36, it's kind of meh. So when I was doing like a level 42 5 pull versus a level 47 5 pull, I had to account for the difference in the heals. The only thing we're going to really be talking about here today, however, Control Z, however, is going to be this right here, this little brown bit at the bottom. That's not what I want. This right here, come on. This little brown bit right here at the bottom. So the red one up top is level 42 versus 5 mobs. And the level 47 is versus, is what life is like at level 47. Why am I only going to be talking about the brown one today? Well, it has to do with this chart over here. At level 42, the mobs are only doing 32 damage to you. But you go up to level 47 because of how much the mobs are scaling with their damage that they're doing to you. They increase that number by more than a third. It goes up by 10 points. Now they're doing 40 damage to you. Holy shit. But it's, yeah, you get the point. So I'm better off talking about what AoE farming looks like roundabout in this level range. You'll note that I didn't get any data on on any mobs past level 54, and the reason for that is because if you're level 54, leveling as a paladin, and you're not farming the shit out of Blackrock Depths by the time you're level 54, you are insane. That place is full of gear that you desperately need as a paladin. Everybody does Blackrock Depths at past level, literally like level 53, level 54, hardcore or not hardcore. You're going to be living in Blackrock Depths. So this is the AoE farming levels. You AoE farm from level 41 to about level 52, level 54, somewhere around there. And then afterwards, you just live in Blackrock Depths, right? Okay, cool. Other things to note is that you get a new rank of... there's some interesting stuff going on here. So you get a new rank, I think, of Seal of Wisdom at like level 48. And you get a new rank of Consecration at level 50. That's like your maximum rank. And you get a new rank of Blessing of Sanctuary, I think at level 50. Or it's some kind of overlap. It might be Consecration, new rank level 50, and Seal of Wisdom, new rank level 50, and you get a new bit of Consecration at level 48, and then you get like a new Holy Light at like level 46. And then you get new Water at each level 45, if that makes any sense. So you get a bunch of new things at different levels. It's important to note. The point I'm trying to make here is that when we examine what life looks like AoE farming at level 47, which is what we're about to do, this is not a good time for you as a paladin. This isn't a cherry-picked level. The level 42 stats would be a cherry-picked level because the mobs haven't scaled up their damage into Oblivion quite yet. What else is there? Your rank of consecration is fresh and new. Your holy light is well, it's a level 36 holy light, so it's a little bit out of date at level 44, but it's not that bad. But you get the point. So this is not cherry picking, and neither is it amaze balls. So let's talk about this for a second. So here's the stats and whatnot down here. Let's use a different color here really fast. And I did this on Gear Planner. Plus your base spirit tick regeneration rate, give or take, around about this level. So you can see here in the red, and we're comparing these numbers to these numbers down here. So you'll see when you're in full stamina intellect gear, we definitely need the heals, but they're not super important, if that makes any sense. Like, we could get away with like 1 holy light, we can get away with 2 holy lights. What it's looking like by far the best thing to do is, and I'll talk about this more near the end of the video, is you want to pull the pack of mobs, and that, God, there's so much to talk about here. Let's start over here. Okay, let's just start here. Okay. All right, so I calculated, let's look at this right here, for example. Let's get some orange going. Ugh. Definitely not that one. Right here. All right, this is the amount of DPS that's going out from you as a paladin and into the mobs. More specifically, this is how much damage each individual mob in the group of mobs that you've pulled is taking at any given point in time based on level. The parentheses there are the change from level 42 to level 47. So for example, at 5 mobs, your level 42 paladin in a 10-second time period is doing 328 damage to each individual mob of those 5 mobs in a 10-second time period. By the time you are level 47, that number only went up by 20. And specifically, that number went up here. One sec. Right here in the parentheses from 50 to 70. What's causing that 50 to 70? That's something I forgot to mention. That is a new rank of Retribution Aura. So this 50 is Retribution Aura, and this 70 is at level 42, and this 70 is Retribution Aura Reflect Damage at level 70. I've got those stats over here, like showing you Ret Aura damage as it changes. DPS, reflect damage, blah, 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 blah. Lots of stuff going on here, lots of math, and the TLDR is just going to be literally like a minute and a half. But the interesting thing to note here is this damage right here is our readout damage, and it is going down. Some of these are just guesses on my part, but you can see that I had it go down a little bit from 5 mobs to 4 mobs, and I had it go down a little bit more from 4 mobs to 3 mobs, and then I had it being virtually negligible by the time it gets down to 2 mobs because readout is readout. The Consecration doesn't upscale in rank until level 50, so she's slow and steady. You'll also note that Consecration is the lion's share of DPS on these mobs. The TLDR on all this, however, is that at level 42, it's going to take you about 60 seconds to kill a pack of mobs. Once you start DPSing on them, it's going to take about 60 seconds to kill them. At level 47, however, because your Consecration rank is a little bit old, you got 3 levels to go before you get a new rank of Consecration, it's going to take you about 70 seconds by comparison. Okay? The other interesting thing to note in all this is I like to tell you guys that there's nothing wrong with pulling 3 mobs at a time and AoEing them down, as opposed to going for a pack of 5 mobs or a pack of 4 mobs. Part of this has to do with how easy or difficult it is to get a pack of 3 mobs versus how hard it is to get a pack of 5 mobs. So for example, looking at this math here really fast, the math doesn't... Come here. Yeah, so this math that we saw right here, Control Z, this math in the orange here that we're seeing does not change much at all, whether we're pulling 3 mobs or whether we're pulling 5 mobs. We're not doing much a difference in DPS. So what that tells us is that if I'm pulling 3 mobs, I'm going to be killing them in about 50 seconds, whereas if I pulled 5 mobs, I'd be killing them in about 60 seconds. Why the hell am I not spending the time to pull 5 mobs? Question mark. The answer is, how long does it take you to gather up those 5 mobs? Also, you tend to be taking less damage from the 3 mobs over that period of time, which means that you end up saving mana because you took less damage over that period of time. So, for example, pulling 3 mobs together and burning them down takes literally like 2 seconds. You literally run into a mob, run through the mob, stun the mob, run to the next mob, put down like a rank 1 consecration, like Judge Seal. You've seen me do it. Judge Seal of Wisdom on that mob, so you get to pull him from like 10 yards away. While the 2 mobs are converging on you, you run to the next mob, then you max rank consecration, and away you go. It does not take very long at all to gather 3 mobs, and you can do it just about anywhere in the world. Gathering 5 mobs, however, can take you upwards of 15 seconds. It depends on if you have a good spot or a bad spot to gather the mobs, but it can take you upwards of 15 fucking seconds to gather a pack of 5 mobs. At a bare minimum, it's going to take you 10 seconds longer to gather the 5 pack of mobs than it will be to gather the 3 pack of mobs, and the same can be said for the 4 pack of mobs, right? So all told, that's why it in the grand scheme of things, it plays out a little bit differently. This is also why I did not bother to math on the 3 mob or the 4 mob pull, and I was like, well, if we can handle 5 mob pulls, this is the ideal scenario. But I know from experience that 5 mob pulling and 3 mob pulling are almost identical in their capabilities. So blah 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 blah. We'll just take our TLDR findings from the 5-pack mob pull. All right, so what the hell are the TLDR findings? Well, look here. Let's get the green. This nope. This is the huge bit of TLDR finding right here. Also, this orange bit up here in a second. Bring it down. Cool. This is how long it's going to take you to kill a 5-pack of mobs, and this is how much mana it's going to cost you. This is also assuming that you do what I like to do, which is you kill one of the mobs as quickly as possible. When you're doing the 3 mob pull, you don't really have to do this, but when you're doing a 4 mob pull or a 5 mob pull, you want to kill the first mob as quickly as possible. It's one of the things that makes the 3 mob pull a little bit better, is because you can keep all 3 mobs alive for much longer, much easier, and maximize your consecration DPS. But when you're pulling 5 mobs, you just want to kill one of them as quickly as possible. When you pull 4 mobs, you want to kill one of them as quickly as possible. So you will spend almost the entirety of your first seal's duration beating the crap out of one mob just to put as much damage on them as possible before you switch over to the next mob. And my theory always is that one of the mobs in the 5-man pull dies within the first 30 seconds, which is why you have me over here saying suffering 25 attacks per 10 seconds for the first 30 seconds and then 20 for the remainder, because I'm assuming we just killed one mob real quick. Ugh. How long is this video so far? Oh, 30 minutes. Oh, great. Been talking. All right. So the TLDR is nothing's changed. We need a base amount of mana to pull however many mobs that we're going to be pulling. We need to have a plus 20% on that amount of mana. And then we need to have enough HP to handle the situation. And then every additional point of stat from a theoretical efficiency perspective should be going into Spirit, right? So once we hit the mana cap, once we hit the HP cap, theoretically, we put every single remaining point available into Spirit, all right? Now, if you're playing on hardcore, this is going to look a little bit differently because you don't want to just hit the stamina cap. You don't just want to hit the mana cap. You'd have to have, you'd like a bit more mana to play with. You'd like a bit more health to play with. Seasoned to taste kind of a deal. But we're just operating on pure theory here for a second. Okay. So level 47. Let's just focus on Senor level 47 for the reasons that we talked about. earlier. He's going to have a different life than the earlier levels. He needed 4,345 mana. This is the amount of mana down here that we recovered during the course of things. So, for example, this is how much mana we got back, or more accurately, it would be the 16. The top one is level 42, and the bottom one is level 47. You can tell that by the 70 seconds versus the 60 seconds. So, the mana that we spent on Judging and Seal of Wisdom, which was 535, pulled us back like almost 1,100 mana over the course of the entirety of the fight. And then this is the Spirit Tick regeneration. We got 270 mana back from just base Spirit regeneration. This is without Spirit gear whatsoever. The parentheses here are if you took the time to engage in anything up here, such as holding off on going, rather than spamming Consecration, you hold off on Consecration for a second to get an extra Spirit Tick regeneration. If you don't do that, your Spirit Tick regeneration will be equal to the amount of Consecrations you do. So, for example, if I did 9 Consecrations, I could expect to get 9 Spirit Ticks while AoE farming, while actively AoE farming. If I did 8 Consecrations, I would get 8 Spirit Ticks while doing it. The parentheses are just if you held off on your Consecration for like 1 second to get +1 Spirit Tick. I talked about this in the previous video. I'm not the biggest fan of this. Because making the fight take 1 second longer so you can get a little bit more mana now compared to just killing them as quickly as possible and then drinking, the drinking is technically better. I also said in the previous video that when you're sitting down, Spirit regeneration is increased by 50%. Not true. It increases your health regeneration by 50% from Spirit, but it does not increase your mana regeneration by 50% from Spirit when you are sitting down. But this is also kind of a big deal because it means you don't need to buy food or anything. You don't need to heal yourself to full after every combat while you're eating and drinking. If you have a bunch of extra Spirit gear on you, you'll just naturally heal yourself really fast anyways, which is a super good thing. Okay, so all said and done, the numbers came out to be basically this. So when I'm doing a 5 mob AoE pull, my level 47 Paladin needs 3,000 mana at level 47 to get the job done. Now, if you're actually leveling your Paladin, you do not have to bother yourself with all this math. Why? Because you can empirically, visually, with your damn eyeballs, see for yourself how much damn mana you need to get the job done, plus an extra bit of mana to feel safe and secure for when RNG comes for your ass while you're actively leveling, right? So it's just my dumb ass who has to sit here for an entire day and do all this stupid math and do all this theory crafting in order to figure it out. When you're actually in the field leveling your Paladin, you can just do all this intuitively. You can do all this empirically. But when I compare that to the actual stats that I had on like up-to-date stamina intellect gear, we can clearly see that we had more than enough mana to get the job done. So you can see we have 3,150 HP. If I go back over here, we took 3,500 HP during damage during the course of the fight at a 50% armor damage reduction, which was the assumption. 50% armor damage reduction, 350. Yeah, so the 2 holy lights I put into myself on this character are excessive. So now I'm going to talk about where we can gain efficiency. So now I'm moving into speedrunner shit. All right, if you were trying to speed run a Paladin to level it as efficiently as fucking possible, like some kind of retarded ass psychopath, as opposed to just, you know, trying to enjoy the game and have fun, this is where we can improve on efficiencies. Number 1, we have way too much mana. We could easily sacrifice that 900 mana into Spirit. So literally, I would come over here and I'd be like, well, I have 900 mana. I would divide that by 15 because that's how much mana you get per point of intellect. And you would see that we have 60 points of intellect that we could convert into Spirit. Okay, cool. But by the time I convert that spirit is going to generate more mana. And because the spirit ticks generate more mana, it means I need less mana on my paladin, which means I can get away with more spirit gear, which is going to generate more mana and more spirit, blah, 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 right? So probably it's not going to be 60, it's going to be closer to 75, but let's just math it for a second and just see where the hell we go. So if I gain 60 spirit, how would I calculate my mana regeneration increase? Right now, the mana regeneration increase was set to be at 30 spirit per tick. We got that right here, right? 30 spirit per tick. That's our base mana regeneration increase. We are identifying that 60 stats of intellect are not necessary. Keep in mind that this 3,000 mana also includes the plus 20% buffer that I continuously tell you guys that you really should need. So for example, if I take this 4,345 mana, which is right up here, and I subtract the 1,600 that we gain from double wisdoming, okay, so boom. And then I subtract the spirit tick of 270 that we were getting base, because I'm not double ticking, because I don't like double ticking. I disagree with it. But feel free to, once we start getting more spirit gear, doing the double tick method might end up being viable. But let's just assume we're not doing it right now because you wouldn't do it in such a gear. Okay, boom. So now you can see I don't need 3,000. I only need 2,475. Like, what the hell? But then I come over here and I multiply it by 20% and it gets close to 3,000, so I just say 3,000. So this 3,000 includes the 20% buffer that I keep hyping on you guys that you probably want and you probably need. So one place that we can really save ourselves some stats is to... Okay, fine, let's just do it. Fuck it. Okay, so we got an extra 60 spirit. Cool. What does that translate into? Divide that by 4. That'll give you how much mana you're increasing per tick. So now we went from 30 mana per tick to now an expected 45 mana per tick. It's going to be a little bit less than that because of the diminishing returns we talked about before, but if you pick up some gear that is like stamina, intellect, spirit, you get the overlap thing going, it should neutralize itself out. Cool, so now we're doing 45 mana a tick. That's a 50% increase. I can very easily come over here, take this 270, and then take this 270 and increase it by 50%. So we're going to, wait, I don't want to do that. 270, I just want to divide by 2 equals, and then 3,000 divided by that, blah, 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 blah. So I'd come over here, and it'd be like 3,000 minus... what was that, like 135, boom. Oh, great, now I don't need 3,000 mana, I only need 2,865. I can get more spirit gear now. 135 divided by 15 equals, I can add another 3 spirit on my character. Oh boy. So let's just say it's 65. All right, I'm gonna stop that snowball right here and just say I can afford 65 spirit on my character. Thank you very much. So that's one area where I can improve the efficiency of my paladin. If I'm doing the double spirit tick regen, that would increase even more substantially, obviously, right? Because that, yeah, I get the point. Oh fuck, just kill me, please, just kill me. Math. Another amazing place that we can gain is in bandages. You'll notice that we weren't taking all that much damage even at 5 mob pulls. But this is assuming that we just start combat with all 5 mobs on us and we haven't had mobs chewing on our ass as we're running around for like 10 seconds trying to get a group of 5 mobs together. So this 3,500 damage is not super realistic. It's probably closer to us taking like 4,000 damage over the course of the fight. Which matches my experience, which is, despite the fact that we use Bop and Bubble when we AoE pull 5 mobs, we still need 2 Holy Lights to keep ourselves in the fight. But anything beyond two Holy Lights is excessive. So here's the other place of efficiency as far as speed running is concerned. Is right here. The Rune Cloth Bandage. So rather than bopping yourself and doing 2 Holy Lights and then waiting for it to fall off or hitting the target, blah, 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 instead you do 1 Holy Light and then you do a Rune Cloth Bandage. Now, if you don't know anything about bandages in World of Warcraft, bandage pricing can vary rather dynamically depending upon what kind of botting activity is going on. But generally speaking, silk cloth is kind of expensive. Mage Weave is often very expensive, and Rune Cloth is often by far your cheapest option. And I'm not talking double Rune Cloth bandages here. I'm talking single bandages. So, for example, if you were doing Mage Weave bandages, let me cough real fast here. I can't talk anymore. Drink of water. Almost done, boys. Hang in there. I'm trying to tell you that if you're going to use bandages, and take my advice here, do not use the double bandages. Use the single bandages. So, for example, you'd want to use Mage Weave bandage, not heavy Mage Weave bandage. You want to use Rune Cloth bandages, not heavy Rune Cloth bandages, just because it's an efficiency issue, right? But if we used, say, 1 Rune Cloth bandage per 5 mob AoE pull, that's 1 holy light that we don't have to use on ourselves. We can easily fit it in. It's not that big of a deal. You would hit the target just to keep the seal active, or the judgment active on the target. You would hit the target, you would holy light yourself, put 1 holy light into yourself, you'd start channeling Rune Cloth bandage. You'd stop the Rune Cloth bandage probably before it completed its heal, because your seal is about to fall, your judgment's about to fall off, and then you would hit the mob. Your bop would fall off, and you'd hit the mob, or you would you wouldn't want to channel the full duration of the bandage, is what I'm trying to tell you. Or you could find some way to weave it in between your judgments when the mob's about to die. It's some real min-maxing, but you can definitely get a bandage rather than a holy light in here. If you get a bandage rather than a holy light in here, 230 divided by 2 equals, oh look, we save 465 mana because we did a Rune Cloth bandage, or a Mage Weave bandage, rather than 2 holy lights. We only need 1 holy light of healing. You get where I'm going with this. Divided by 15. Oh, look, now we can pick up another 31 points of spirit. I'm going to stop the circle jerk and just say that that's going to be 34 points of spirit. 34 points of spirit will generate us, divided by 4, another 25% increase on our mana regeneration. So at this point, our mana regeneration looks something like this. We got 53 mana regeneration per tick, because now we're using a bandage rather than double holy lighting ourselves. And also, we have lots of spirit gear. There's also another hidden bonus to leveling with spirit gear. Obviously, spirit gear is significantly cheaper than of the eagle gear. Plate whale of spirit gear is something like 1/3, 1/4 the cost of the intellect gear. It's actually about 1/4, believe it or not. But we can take that gold efficiency and either plug it into our bandages to get more. There's just a lot of benefit here. Okay, benefit number 1, you're not spending so much money on water. Because you're not spending so much water, you can afford other things, like bandages. Once you start affording bandages, you need less of the eagle gear, which saves you a lot of money, which then can go into more bandages. But it also means that you can buy more spirit gear, and because you have more spirit gear, you're saving more money on water. Also, the other synergy here is that you can upgrade your spirit gear far more often than you can upgrade your intellect gear, which means the armor on your paladin is significantly more up to date than it otherwise would be, which means you're not getting punched in the dick quite as hard, which means you're saving mana. And because you're saving mana, you get where the fuck we're going with this, right? So the question I have to ask myself is, now at like 54 mana regeneration a tick, is it worth it to double spirit tick? And I can figure that out right now. So I'm just going to multiply that by 9, because you can see this paladin had to do 9 consecrations. So now I'm in theoretical mode. So cool, rather than generating 270 spirit over the course of this fight, I'll generate 481. Awesome, but we already calculated that a little bit while ago. What if I double that? Okay, cool. Now I can get even more spirit gear or something, but the combat's going to take a little bit longer, blah, 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 blah. However, despite the fact that I would have to calculate, and I need to do math on this, so prepare yourself for another video. What am I trying to say here? The more spirit gear you're increasing, your time out of combat will diminish drastically. So let me see if I can literally go figure this out real quickly here if the internet doesn't want to shit on me too hard. Obviously one thing I'm missing here is what does our recovery time look like? Thank you. Come on. Yeah, I know. Yes. All right, I'm going to pause the video until I get this going. All right, I got the empirical information I needed. It's 97 mana a second for level 45 water. Let's not look at that while we're here. There we go. That's better. Zip. 97 mana a tick per second. What the hell is our theoretical mana bar at now here? God damn. Because I kept stripping out intellect from the damn thing. All I can remember is that I stripped out like 60 plus... No. It was like 64... 65, I recall correctly. 65 plus 34. Yeah, okay, I remember that. No, go away. 65 plus 34 equals. So this is, I stripped out almost 100 points of intellect. We'll just say I stripped out 100 points of intellect. All right, so I went down 1,500 mana from my mana bar. So my mana bar on this theoretical paladin is now 3900 minus 1,500. Okay, so I'm only working with a 2,400 mana bar because I'm using bandages and crud now. We actually need to go over here because I'm theoretically using bandages and stuff now. I've gained almost 100 spirit in compensation. And what does my regeneration look like out of combat? Let's look at this for a second. So it would be, thinking about this, how do I do that? Was it 2,400? I think it was 2,400, wasn't it? 3900, sorry, brain died. Minus 1,500, yeah, it is 2,400. Okay, cool. And I need spirit tick regeneration in conjunction with the mana regeneration. The mana regeneration is 97 a second from drinking. And the spirit tick regeneration per second is going to be half of what it was before, which I think was 54. So that's going to be 27. Okay, cool. So this is how much mana I'm going to be regenerating per second while I am sitting down and drinking. I'm going to multiply this by 30 and see if a single level 45 drink fills me up to full. Okay, 30 seconds. How much mana I can regenerate in 30 seconds with 100 plus spirit gear and yeah, whatever. Boom. Oh yeah, we're good. Holy shit. That recovery time is fucking amazing. What the fuck? This is a massive increase in efficiency. Holy shit. That was terrifying. All right, let me try that again. All right, what if I'm not doing it, what does it look like? If I'm pure stamina intellect gear and I myself in combat, I would divide this by 97. No. It would be 97 plus 15 because base mana regeneration cut in half. Okay, cool. And I would need to damn it, what is it? 3900 divided by 112. Okay, so a normal paladin, pure stamina intellect gear, having himself would need 34 seconds of drinking in order to get himself to full, which is with up-to-date water. Perfectly acceptable, perfectly normal, blah, 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 blah. You'll remember in that one video where I was talking about how stamina intellect paladin compares to a strength stamina paladin, and I was talking about how the recovery times work, where it was like 60 seconds of in combat and then 60 seconds out of combat. Turns out I might be a little bit wrong, but I'm in the ballpark, right? Because it's 60 seconds to actually fight the mobs. It's like 15 seconds to run over there and gather up a pack of 5 mobs, give or take. And then you're spending 30 something or odd seconds in recovery time. So obviously there's a fucking reason why AoE paladins level faster than two-handed paladins. Obviously, me giving 2 minutes for the AoE paladin to kill things was excessive, but I just want to do a comparison. So 2,400. So the other paladin was 54 divided by 2. 54 divided by 2 equals plus 97 equals So we're gaining 124 mana a second. I am completely and I need to divide this by 124, which means I need less than 20 seconds of drinking in order to refill my mana bar, and I'm up again and kicking ass and chewing bubblegum. This, however, needs to be factoring in that I am double spirit ticking now. I'm just going to do this real fast. This is me using the double spirit technique, which is going to cause the fighting to last longer, but I'll have more spirit regeneration gear available to me. Like a higher percentage of my gear will be spirit regeneration, blah, 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 blah. About 30 points of it, or at least 2 pieces of gear, are now spirit, stamina, intellect, or stamina, spirit gear rather than stamina, intellect gear. All right, that's literally the change. So this paladin here, in the change from 3,900 to whatever the hell, is losing 4 pieces of stamina, intellect gear in exchange for stamina spirit gear. If I do the double spirit regeneration technique, the double tick technique, that'll go from 4 pieces of spirit gear to 6 pieces of spirit gear. Sorry, this is how my brain works, so just bear with me here. How much have I increased the amount of time, combat time, do we think here exactly? It's not going to be 9 seconds. I know that much. And I know that much because this 9 consecrations it didn't actually take 9 consecrations. It took 8.5 consecrations to kill all the mobs. So half this consecration is wasted. Same thing with level 42. I would estimate that it's only going to increase kill time factor by probably 6 seconds at most, if I'm being super disingenuous. Okay, so 6 plus 19 equals 25, plus 70. Okay, so total kill time is 95 seconds. This is kill time plus recovery time, but this is no gather time. If the gather time was 15 seconds, it would be 110 seconds to kill 5 mobs. And that would just be forever a thing. 110 seconds to kill 5 mobs, 110 seconds to kill 5 mobs, 110 seconds to kill 5 mobs. Let me try to calculate it if I didn't do that. So if I didn't do that, what is it looking like? 70 seconds to kill the mobs. Spirit gear went up. Oh, right. It would be 60. Yes. Okay. So I need 390. No. I need 65 minus... No. Stop. 65 times 15 equals. So now my mana bar is about 29 hundo, give or take. All right, so this is the not double tick option. So 4 pieces of gear are now stamina spirit rather than 6 pieces, and I'm not doing the double tick thing. However, this is how much mana I need now, obviously. Oh, what am I doing now? I'm calculating recovery time. Correct. Okay, cool. So what is it now? It would be 60 mana a tick. 15. It's 45 now, right? Yes. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. Divided by 2 equals 0.22 plus 97 equals, okay, about 120. We'll just say 120. I needed 290 divided by 120 equals. So my recovery time is now 24 seconds, but I haven't increased. It's about dead even. Okay, it's dead even. It is dead even. So the only advantage that we're gaining from doing the double mana recovery technique, or the double spirit technique, is the fact that if you're a speedrunner, there's a difference of like a second here, which is kind of a big deal to you. If we're using a rune cloth bandage, we have even more spirit, which means it's even a bigger deal to you. It's worth like 2 or 3 seconds, give or take. But from what I'm seeing mathematically, it's only going to be like a 1 second or less difference. Not a little over 1 second difference in your recovery time. The main difference is one paladin is wearing 4 pieces of spirit gear, and the other paladin is wearing 6 pieces of spirit gear, which, for all the reasons we mentioned, might be a significant difference. Okay, so what does this mean, TLDR? It means that nothing's changed. You want enough mana to get the job done when you pull a pack of mobs, plus 20% for security purposes. And then from there, you want as much spirit gear as you can possibly get your hands on. It remains to be seen, when I do the math, I need to get rid of that real quick. Go away. That's not it. Okay, whatever. It remains to be seen if 4 or 3 mobs changes anything with the spirit gear whatsoever. But I'll leave that to speedrunners to figure out. This is outside of my wheelhouse. For me, it's like I'm not interested in changing my paladin playstyle or concerning myself with such nuances unless I'm getting a significant like 5% or greater bonus. I'm not interested in 2%. I'm not interested in 3%. So if you speedrunners out there want to be like, oh, I want to level 3% faster, like, yeah, go ahead, figure it out. Figure out where your breakpoints are and all that crap. Have fun with it. Anyways, this video is kind of long. I'm going to end the video here, and Deus Volt, boys.